Breaking news right now on the Valley today. Tensions are running high in a Twin Cities suburb after a traffic stop turns deadly and protesters hit the streets to show their anger.
Plus, a city in Virginia cuts ties with a police officer who pepper sprayed an Army officer during a traffic stop.
Also ahead, getting your family ready for rough summer weather. That's sure to hit us next in the coming months. We have a live report. But first, a breaking news overnight on this Monday morning. A fire in downtown Fargo on the same property of another fire just a few weeks ago. That call came in just before 10 about flames at 92 NP Avenue.
Fire crews say they found a fire in a large shed behind the old Mid-America Steel building near the river.
There was a building that was about, I would say, 15 by 20 that was heavily involved with fire. We didn't enter the structure. We fought the fire from the outside. Had it under control in about 15 minutes and completely extinguished in about 30 minutes after arrival.
There's no word yet from Fargo Fire about the cause or if it's in any way connected to last month's arson. Firefighters were called back on March 22nd about a fire at that old steel plant that was on fire.
They spent the night there putting out what was described as some stubborn flames. Fargo's fire marshal labeled it arson. Investigators later identified 3 people as the suspects.
Also breaking this morning, police clash with protesters in the Twin Cities after officers shoot and kill a 20-year-old man during a traffic stop. People in Brooklyn Center were out protesting part of the night after yesterday afternoon's incident. Police say officers were attempting to make a traffic stop right around 2 in the afternoon when they noticed the driver had an outstanding warrant. While
police were attempting to take the suspect into custody, they say he got back into his car. That's when one of the officers fired their gun and it hit the driver. Protesters took to the streets as word got out about that shooting. At least twice, the sound of flashbangs could be heard, followed by the sight of gas, which some described as burning their throats. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is now investigating the shooting. After police left the scene of that shooting on Sunday evening, people gathered outside of the Brooklyn Center Police headquarters where the situation became hostile. Crews on scene report that multiple rounds of tear gas were fired by law enforcement in an effort to disperse that crowd. One of the Virginia police officers who conducted a controversial traffic stop involving a black Army officer has now been fired. The encounter, which took place in the town of Windsor last December, was captured on body cam video, and it appears to show officers draw their guns and then threaten Second Lieutenant Karen Nazario. Now, in that body cam video provided by Nazario's attorney, you can see that he is also pepper sprayed.
Nazario has filed a lawsuit against both officers and is asking for at least $1 million in damages. The city manager says an internal investigation conducted immediately after the incident found that the officers did not follow departmental policy. Disciplinary action was taken and additional department-wide training was ordered. One of the officers was fired.
It is now 6:53 on your Monday morning, also a first alert weather day. We want to get a check of that forecast to see all of the stuff Mother Nature's throwing at us. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. We are getting a good dose of winter returning here today and tomorrow for our first alert weather days with a cold weather system making its way in. We're seeing some of that already this morning as we take a look at our timeline here. So for today, this morning, we're starting with a rain-snow mix. Some of us getting rain, some of us starting to see some flakes. Then it does transition to snow. We'll see some melting to start because the ground is very warm. A lot of us have temperatures above freezing, so a lot of wet roads out there this morning with some foggy conditions. Tonight, this afternoon and tonight, we'll start to see those temperatures drop below freezing, and that's when the snow is more likely to stick. First on those grassy surfaces and potentially on some of those roads, especially bridge decks, those road segments that tend to freeze over sooner. We could see several inches up north, maybe an inch or 2 in the south heading into Tuesday as that snow is ongoing. So a messy, slick morning tomorrow, and then eventually the snow will end on Tuesday, probably Tuesday night. So this is going to be a prolonged event, and it does start this morning. You can see on our radar map here, we've got 2 areas of larger precipitation, one around Jamestown and points south and west, and then another one up into the northeast around Lake of the Woods, Red Lake, Bemidji, and then in between there are those spotty areas of showers, one working its way along I-94, Highway 75, and points south, and eventually that precipitation up in the northeast will start to dip southward, and that's part of the larger part of this system. That's what's going to swing through and we're going to watch that make that transition to snow. Your morning commute, again, there's areas of fog and precipitation reducing your visibility. Valley City, Langdon, Grand Forks, and back over into Roseau as well. Temperatures mainly above freezing right now. Langdon's at 32. You're going to want to keep a close eye on those temperatures throughout the day. You can check that on our Valley News Live weather app, and of course the radar too, and we'll be keeping you updated right here. Bus stop planner. Now, it may be quiet where you are this morning, but heading home from school, likely the kids are going to run into some raindrops, some snow, or a combination of the two. And temperatures not that mild out there as well. We'll still be above freezing in places like Fargo, but in other spots, we'll see some of those areas already starting to dip below freezing in the northeastern part of North Dakota. So easy does it for your morning and evening commutes and into Tuesday as well. But temperatures this week, they rise well above freezing. So we're going to melt this pretty quickly, but it's going to be kind of a mess while we're dealing with it.
Mess. Ugh.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We have a lot to deal with. Lisa, thank you for tracking that for us all this morning. And as we are preparing for this mid-April snow and rain mix right now, soon enough, the winter weather hopefully will stop. And then we will move into summer, which means tornado and thunderstorm season as that weather arrives.
So this is really the perfect time to review safety plans with your family. The Valley Today's Brian Sherrod joins us live this morning with the details. Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Jordan and Lisa. When you said the summer, I literally thought you were going to be like beautiful sunshine, but instead you said tornadoes. And that's just one of the things we have to focus on when it comes to severe weather, especially flooding. Right now I'm at the Red River. You can actually see on the side that the water is moving pretty quickly. So again, just something you want to be cautious of when it comes to severe weather, because that could rise. Now, letting you know that you want to have a safety plan in place regardless of what the weather is. So if you are home, find the safest area away from windows while adding as many walls as you can between you and outside. If you're driving, go to the nearest shelter or structure away from all debris. Your car is never a safe place to be with severe weather. And there's a myth out there.
And then, of course, pay attention to what's going on with the weather. We do our first alert weather days to give you a heads up days in advance.
Reminder, always have a survival kit. Water, food, medicine, change of clothes, documentations, full tank of gas, and fully charged cell phone. Know the difference between a warning and watch. And a watch is a planning as a warning is happening now. Now, as we also mentioned, make sure you have that First Alert weather app. Go to your phone's store, download it for free. It's going to help you. As we mentioned in Minnesota, Severe Weather Awareness Week is right now starting today. In North Dakota, it's going to start the week of April 26th.
Okay, good idea to plan ahead and talk about it now. Brian Sherrod reporting live. Thank you. During the early stages of the pandemic, opioid overdoses increased by nearly 40% according to the CDC. And now a Detroit Lakes woman is using her creativity to fight back.
She is starring in a short film that dives into the realities of addiction. This after losing her cousin to an opioid overdose. She says that it's a message too important not to share.
If they can't see it through the lens of addiction, they can see it through the lens of love, because it's also a love story. And we can get swept off our feet by love, just like we can get swept off our feet by addiction, right? And unfortunately, sometimes you don't end up in the best places.
If you would like to watch the trailer or show your support, we have links on our website. You can find that at valleynewslive.com or download the VNL News app. You can find this story on our homepage. A large group of people marched the streets of downtown Fargo this weekend, making their presence known in front of City Hall to counter-protest the potential of a White Lives Matter rally.
Many of the counter-protesters were chanting against white supremacy and Nazis.
In other news, a big overpass project gets going today, and it's going to mean the closure of a South Fargo frontage road for much of construction season.
Starting today in just a couple of minutes at 38th Street South between 55th and 76th Avenues is shutting down to traffic. It's for work on a new bridge overpass at 64th Avenue and I-29. Some expansions are in store at the International Peace Garden this summer.
Along with upgrading their infrastructure to include an all-ages playground, horticulturists announced the new designs for this year's formal garden. Designs will feature block-like patterns depicting colorful images of things like a bumblebee, a honeycomb, and a Tetris board. They also work to capture changes taking place right now for a better future for the gardens. Planting starts in June. It should be done within a month. They say they do need volunteers throughout the summer. You can check their Facebook page for the details.
Let's get the answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. That question today is, teenage girls, they do this about once a week.
Oh, yeah, at least once a day this happens in my house. The answer? Slam a door.
Yeah, you have two girls too,
Oh
so
my
all
goodness,
the
I have
slamming
a
going
lot
on,
of
huh?
years ahead of me of slamming of doors.